78% of community banks predict a housing crash. 78%. 8 out of the 9 massive organizations that predicted the 2008 crash have predicted a crash by 2023. The housing crash will happen. It's only a matter of when. Does it happen tomorrow or does it happen a year from now? I'm going to break down exactly how you can prepare for this and exactly how this is going to affect you in more ways than you're even thinking of. You definitely want to buckle up and watch this video and really ponder what I'm talking about here, because the reality of this situation is getting severe, but you can beat it. It is one of those things that you can beat if you act now. It's like having a speeding train barreling down on you, and you're sitting on the tracks. If you're a homeowner, you are sitting on the tracks. You have a couple of options to pivot before the train runs right through you and smashes through the United States like a wrecking ball, which will happen within the next 3 to probably 18 months. Yeah, it could be as soon as a couple of months away. In fact, the Fed just artificially inflated some things again to try to stop the house marketing from collapse right now. The house market could collapse right now, technically, but the Fed has been backstopping it for the last 6 months. So we're going to break this down, Operation Housing Crash, but more importantly, how can you get off the tracks? Now, you might be saying, well, Cody, you said 8 out of the 9 top organizations that said the housing market's going to crash. What about that 9th? Again, they predict 2023, so it's not that impressive, right? So instead of 18 months, they're predicting 24 months. But virtually everyone who predicted the last crash and the last top of the market is predicting it now, and they will be right. So if you're a homeowner, you're probably panicking. You probably can't sleep at night. And if you can, you've probably already decided your fate, which is financial ruin. You're going to lose your house. You're going to go into foreclosure, because not only are you going to lose your house, you're most likely going to lose your job. And that's the unfortunate thing for most Americans. Now, this is kind of like a prize fighter getting into another fight 4 days after a championship bout. Okay, I don't know if you're a boxing fan. I'm a huge UFC and boxing fan. And I'll tell you right now, if you take a top-tier fighter like Canelo, you take Tyson in his prime, you take Ali in his prime, okay? And they fight with everything they got. There's a reason you won't see them fight again next weekend or next month. And it isn't just money. It's because it takes a lot of time to recover, okay? Well, right now, the United States isn't even 30% recovered from what happened in 2020. We're still trying to recover, and we're still getting hit from all sides. With the housing crash, we're going to be at the weakest state this country's been in a long time, and the housing crash is going to fall apart. You've got companies like Zillow offloading houses at a loss, lying to people saying it's because their proprietary software, the Zestimates, was garbage. You know it's bad when a company comes out and makes up something about their own software to try to save themselves. They're offloading as much houses as possible, because if the market slipped 33%, it could bankrupt Zillow. That's how dire this is right now. That's why they're offloading all these houses. They were trying to take a big run in it, but now they understand what's happening. We have a government that's trying to go socialist, but the only way they can go socialist is to let the air out of the housing market. The government actually wants house prices to be substantially less. In fact, the government wants most houses to not be owned by private citizens, but to be owned by entities. That's the different topic, but that's going to suppress prices drastically and going to allow for the government, UBI, and other government welfare programs to take over, which would be big government and socialism. Right? And that's what the government is striving for, the current administration in the United States, which is not good. And they're pushing against the housing market, but they have to get through this holiday season, because you already know with the BBB plan that the administration is pushing through is all about destroying Americans. And if you own a business, you're going to be semi-exempt. Now, the first thing you need to do is take control of your income. If you don't currently own a business, you better start one like yesterday. Even if you have a job and you love your job, you better come up with a way to start making money outside of your job, because the chance of you losing your job is really high. I don't care if you're in the medical field. I don't care if you're in the transportation field. I don't care if you're a doctor or a lawyer. the chance of you losing your job is getting incredibly high. You never thought in a million years, if you're in the medical field, that you would have mandates. You never thought a million years if you were a worker for a company that you would have government mandates that are unconstitutional. And the courts just stepped in and put a stay, and now they're fighting it out in court, and they're not looking good. But the damage is already done. You've already injected synthetics into yourself to keep your employment and to feed yourself. The damage is already done. The destruction to your immune system is already done. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. And now we're doing this to children who need to build up their immune system, but we're making them dependent on this. More than anything, it's a dependency. Okay? It's a dependency on the drugs. It's a dependency on the government. It's a dependency on the government money. And letting the bubble burst in the housing market, which we have a massive housing shortage and we have massive housing issues as far as prices, because the economy is artificially propped up with government money. I talked about this in a recent video where the government has pumped $4 trillion. Think about that with a T, $4 trillion over the last year into the bond market to hold it up. Because if they didn't pump those $4 trillion, the stock market wouldn't be trading at 36,000, the Dow. The Dow would probably be 10,000 right now. The entire country would be in bankruptcy and default if the federal government didn't quietly pump in $4 trillion. Trillion. I don't think a lot of people understand what that has done. The entire economy in the United States right now is propped up by the federal government, and not enough people are talking about this. All they got to do is pull the plug, which they're starting to do with their quantitative pullback and their rate hikes, which I talked about in a video, I think it was 2 videos ago. I recommend you watch it. I know it's not a popular topic and I know it doesn't get you really excited, but I talk about how you can combat this, whether you're a business owner or you have a job. And it's a very important video to watch so you understand what's going on, because these big outlets are not telling you what's going on, and so you're not preparing for it. The entire bond market is propped up. If you have a 401k or you have an IRA, you should be in cold sweats right now, because if the government pulls their money, your retirement could get cut in half, could get cut by 70%, could get cut by 90%. If you've got $400,000 set aside in a 401k and you're thinking about retiring in the next 15 years, if the government right now pulls their money, you'll never retire. You'll lose all of your money. And this is what people don't get. They think their money is safe and secure, just like the people who had pensions in big companies did, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi or Frito-Lay, or these big blue chip stocks. And now a lot of them ended up working into poverty and into death because pensions have been wrecked. Steel workers, auto workers. I mean, look how it went in Michigan, right? A lot of these people were supposed to be set, put in your 40, have a nice cushy retirement. You're not rich, but you get your gold watch and you go fishing. No, these people are trying to scrape together a meal, canned beans in a flop house because they lost everything. It's sad what they did to Michigan. And again, nobody wants to talk about it because no one wants to care. There's parts of Michigan that used to be thriving industrial manufacturing hubs for the world. And now they're sitting there, people who worked 40 years can't even feed themselves. It's pathetic. And the same thing is going to happen to you with your 401ks and your IRAs. They're going to be pillaged by the government with their pullback, which basically they're going to bet against their own system so they can pull back the money into themselves. It's a real easy thing to do. It's what a lot of billionaires do when there's pullbacks. They basically bet against the economy, for lack of a better term. I mean, I could get in the technical analysis of trading, but most of you could care less. But basically, in its simplest form, you're betting on something to fail. And you start betting on the economy to fail. There's billions of dollars in that if you know what you're doing and you have big enough capital gain to start with. You can make billions and billions of dollars. And these big hedge funds do. They can't wait for the bubble to burst because they can bet against it and make 10 times their money. Meanwhile, where does that money come from? Your pension, your IRA, your retirement fund, your bank account. You get destroyed. Your housing cost. Because right now, you just took out a mortgage on a $400,000 house, and when this bubble bursts, it's going to be worth 180, 240. You're screwed. You're screwed. You won't be able to sell it at break even for 10, 12, 15 years. And that's what's happening right now with these record prices, is it's in their best interest to pull that money. They can pop the bubble and pull the money in for themselves, and 80 million Americans are left holding the bag with mortgages they can no longer afford. And if you can't afford them, you can go on government subsidies. You get a march over. In 2008, when this happened, you didn't have the government subsidies and you didn't have the socialism. That's why 2008 was nothing like this. Also in 2008, we had a housing crisis, but we had other financial instruments that were incredibly strong still. We're going to have no housing market. It's going to collapse. The bond market's going to collapse. The stock market is absolutely going to collapse because it's tethered to all this. But also, we don't have the business structure, and we have the weakest structure in American history right now because of what happened in 2020. So the best thing you can do right now is start a business. Even if you have a job, start a side hustle. Sell your house. If you have a house, put it on the market would be my... I get asked every day, and I can't answer all these emails, guys. People are saying, should I really sell? Yeah. What's the worst they could do? If you get an offer and you don't want to sell, don't sell. But I would have your house on the market just in case, because when it crashes, it's going to happen overnight. And your $400,000 house, your $800,000 house is going to be worth so much less. It's not even funny. And people always try to time the top of the market. Well, Cody, what if I wait a little longer? Guys, we're already at the top of the market. The market cannot support itself. When the federal government is injecting money to prop it up, we're way past the top. You're on borrowed time. It's a gift. The smartest people in the world, all of them are selling their houses. Billionaires. You notice how almost look at celebrity houses, okay? Do you notice in the last 2 years, almost every major celebrity that you could name has been selling homes? Why is that? Because they know what's coming. And these are people who have the money, but they know what's coming. Business moguls selling houses left and right. Now, if you're invested in multifamily real estate, that's going to do a little better because people are going to need places to rent. But I'm talking about homes, worthless liabilities. Your home is not an asset like you've been lied to. People lie to you and tell you your home's an asset. Your home is a liability because you have to pay every month. Your home doesn't produce money. Assets produce money. You know why the financial planners tell Americans that homes are assets? Because the average American has a net worth in the negative hundreds of thousands because of mortgages and car payments. And if you told the average American their net worth, the suicide rate would quadruple. You got people walking around patting themselves on the back, telling themselves they have $300,000 net worths. You don't have a $3 net worth. If you have a mortgage, your net worth is most likely nothing. It's most likely upside down. Now, if you own a house outright in cash, clean and clear, then the only thing you got to worry about is your taxes going up, but you're in a pretty good spot. But less than 8% of Americans own their house outright. Even most millionaires have mortgages. So for most of you, it's a serious problem. When you've got companies like Zillow pulling out, when you've got celebrities pulling out, when you've got business moguls pulling out, when you've got most people in Congress pulling out of houses left and right, you know there is a massive problem. And these are people who can pay cash for their houses. But even that, it's like, why would I pay cash for $1 million house right now when I can wait and buy 3 in a couple months or 2? And so this is the issue. And they know it's getting ready to happen. It's going to be a domino effect. This is probably the scariest thing in our country right now that no one's talking about. It's not a health crisis. It's not the unemployment crisis. It's not, the Afghanistan crisis is pretty sad. That's a crime against humanity. That's a whole different thing. The immigration crisis is a problem, but it's not even that. Our entire system is getting ready to collapse to the point where the average person is going to be in such severe poverty. People who are making 80 grand a year right now, 120 grand a year right now are going to be making 0. And people don't get it. They don't get it. They're like, oh no, I'm pretty good. My job's pretty good. I've had my mortgage for 5-6 years. Bro, you are screwed. And I guarantee this video is going to blow up when the housing market crashes. Pre-crash, this video is going to get a few thousand views, 2,000 views, 10,000 views. It doesn't matter. Pre-crash is going to get a few views. Post-crash, it'll probably get hundreds of thousands of views. I've predicted a few things. I predicted Bitcoin's crash. I predicted Bitcoin's rise. I predicted a couple other cryptocurrencies rise. And I'll do it like 6 months ahead of time, and the video will get 5,000 views. I did one recently on a couple of different cryptocurrencies. Now the videos are blowing up. I wouldn't say they're viral. I don't really have viral videos. My channel's not that big, but they're blowing up by my standards. And it's always after. And that's the unfortunate thing. People don't take preparation pre-hand. So yeah, I mean, I get so many questions on this that I wanted to make a video and talk about this. The housing market is going to go down. It's going to be the next big thing to crash. You need to take control of your income so you can even feed yourself. And I recommend getting yourself liquid and mobile so you can land in the best spot. Be mobile. Have the ability to move if you need to. Move. Do something. Get in a better location. Get in a better place. I did that a couple of years ago. I moved from a horrible place to a 10 times better place because of legislation and laws and taxes. And then when the global health thing happened in 2020, I was so thankful that I moved because I live in a place that's 1,000 times better than where I used to live based on legalities and laws and taxes and all these different things. And it worked out great for me. And if I have to do it again, I'll do it again because you got to stay liquid. You got to stay mobile. So I've been getting a lot of questions on this. I highly recommend you start a business, take control of your income, get liquid. I would talk to somebody who, I'm not telling you to pull out your retirement. You might have to weather that storm, but I would get aggressive with your retirement and I would get serious and I would get involved, okay? And I'm not telling you to sell your house. You do whatever you want to do in your life. That's your decision. But I am telling you to look into it. Do yourself a favor and look into selling your house. Because I can assure you, you think it's the American dream. It's not. Houses are modern day slavery. They tether you to a 30-year mortgage. Houses are garbage. They're built like junk. They're built in like 8 weeks. Every time you walk in a house, there's cracks up and down. I used to be a carpenter by trade years ago. I used to own a construction business. It was my first business I started in my early 20s. It was rather successful, but I got out of the business for multiple reasons, not the least of which the quality of homes nowadays is trash. I didn't want to build my business and spend my time building track houses and suburban dream houses that are really just overpriced and overpackaged junk. Materials have gone down in quality. Craftsmanship doesn't exist in America anymore in the home market. It's just slap stuff together. And it's nobody's fault. It's the way the banks do things. It's the way these loans are structured. Well, I shouldn't say it's nobody's fault. It's the bank's fault. It's the instant gratification's fault. Your house is trash. I hate to tell you. I know you think it's your big achievement, your American dream. It's a piece of trash. It's going to crumble and fall down in the next 60 years. It's not going to be here. It's got to be rebuilt 6 times because it's a piece of trash. Sell it. Do yourself a favor. Live a better life. Don't tether your self-worth to a box, a poorly built box. That is not your self-worth. Your self-worth is not your job. Your self-worth is not your house. Your self-worth is not your bank account. Your self-worth is you. It's who you are. It's the actions you take. It's the value you add. It's the experiences you live. Some of the poorest people financially on this earth are probably living some of the richest lives ever. Some of these minimalists, some of these nomads live lives that most of us couldn't comprehend. And we've seen celebrities lose it, like Matthew McConaughey. He spent a couple years living in an Airstream on the beach. That guy could have bought his own beach, but he wanted to get out of this ridiculous cycle. He didn't do movies for a couple years. He just ran on the beach, slept on the... There was a couple times, Matthew McConaughey, one of the most famous actors in the world, you would see him sleeping on the beach. It wasn't because he didn't have money. The guy has hundreds of millions of dollars. It's because he didn't want to kill himself through the lens of this garbage. We build this perception of what success is and what value is. Don't fall into that trap. I fell into that trap when I was younger, and it was the worst part of my life. The more successful I got, the more I hated everything. I'm happy now. I'm genuinely happy now. And yeah, I'm successful, and yeah, I have money, but it's because I play my cards right. I certainly could have 10 times the money I have if I focused all of my energy on making money. But let me tell you something. It doesn't matter. It will not make you any happier. I live an amazing life. I wake up when I want. I do what I want. I work with amazing clients. I own a couple amazing companies. I get to spend all of my time with my kids. I get to do fun things. I get to create cool projects. I'm happy. I have for the first time in my life, in a long time, I have true happiness. That's what I want for every single person, is actual be happy. You've never heard me say happiness. When I first started on YouTube, I wasn't happy. I was perpetuating, make more money, buy nicer things, buy nicer cars, buy nicer houses, buy nicer. And for a long time, I fell into that trap. Oh, I could buy this. Oh, 20 grand here, 40 grand here. It doesn't matter, right? Because I make money, right? Important. It's not important. Take your life back. Take control of your life back And I can assure you, no matter how much money you make, and this is from somebody who's probably made more money than most of you, it's not going to do you any good. It's not, no matter what you do, it's not going to add value. It's not going to make you happier. A nicer car doesn't make you happier if you're not. I bought a lot of nicer things and I was less happy. But when I finally found happiness within myself, that's when I became truly happy. And now I live a life that I can literally do whatever I want. That's freedom. That's rich. I'm richer than most. There's billionaires who work all day, every day, offices, never see their kids. I mean, you look at like Dwayne Johnson, the most famous actor in the world. It's came out like 6 times. He's one of the worst fathers. He's a drunk. He's on steroids, massive steroids. He's a major alcoholic. He has a major problem. I'm not dissing the guy. He's a decent actor, but I wouldn't trade my life with his. He's got a zillion times more money than me, but he's got a miserable life. I'm way closer with my kids and I'm way happier. You look at actors like Ben Affleck. You think that guy's happy in rehab all the time? You think that guy's happy suicidal all the time? You think that guy's happy going through all these things he puts himself through? No amount of money has made that guy happy. Find your happiness. I'm not dissing these two actors. Super successful, million times more success and fame, money. Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, they have substantially more money than I have, but not any happier. They're way worse off because of their mentality. And Dwayne Johnson is probably the fakest person on the planet. I've met 4 or 5 people who've met him. He's not that he's fake. Everything about him's fake. His steroids are fake. His muscles are fake. His smile is fake. His teeth are fake. Everything's fake. The whole guy's fake. I think he's a horrible person. The more you find out about a guy's a horrible person. But people look up to people like that. Most of these celebrities are garbage. You get people in your brain telling you, buy a house, go to college, get a good job. It's a myth. It's slavery. It's modern day slavery. You get 5 minutes on this big spinning rock. You know what you really should do? Find something you love to do and do everything you can to do that every day of your life. That's it. Start a business, start your career, do what you want to do. You want to be an artist, do it. Oh, well, I got this job making $200,000 a year, and if I be an artist, I'll only make 50. Good. Make 50 and be happy. Get a smaller house, a smaller car, a smaller life, but increase your happiness. So I know I went off on a tangent here and a rant here, but I'm just tired of hearing this stuff, guys. It gets to a point where it just doesn't work. You got to get to a point where you're doing this for you. And I get these sad emails every day. And I've gotten to a point where I get so many emails that I can't respond to all of them. I deal with my, I answer the emails that I can. Obviously, I work with my clients and answer all their emails. But if you're emailing me just kind of cold, I would love to respond. But keep in mind, I might respond a month later, 6 months later. I get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day at this point. So I try to make these videos and these messages to try to get the information out there, because I get these sad emails every day of people, what should I do with my life? And I just can't go through them all. And it sucks because I wish I had more time to go through them all. But you got to, I mean, if you're not happy, all the money in the world is not going to make you happy. And the housing market is getting ready to cause depression in this country like we've never seen. You think the health crisis was bad? Wait till the housing market crashes. And the reason I'm worried about this is I don't think most people stop to realize how many people attach their self-worth as a person to their house, which is pathetic. As somebody who used to build houses and as somebody who, you know, has made money and done these things and seen these things, do not attach your self-worth to your house. Attach your self-worth to your freedom. Attach your self-worth to your passion, to what you love to do. Attach your self-worth to spending time with the people you want to spend time with. Attach your self-worth to living the lifestyle that you want to live. That's something to attach your self-worth to. Not some fiat currency and not some box that really doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to offend you if you spend a lot of money in your house, because you probably did, but it's a piece of garbage. And you'd be better off selling it and living, especially right now. I'm not saying you should never buy a house, but we are literally this close to a crash, guys. Crashes always happen. This one should have happened a long time ago. What are we teetering on? Like 14 years? Like, this is going to happen, and it's going to happen big. This is one of the longest prop-ups that the federal government has ever done, because it fits right into the socialist agenda. This is going to be the final death blow to get people reliant on government money. But the reason the socialist agenda is not working is, even though they gave out so much government money, it didn't really impact the average person because bills are too expensive. The cost of living in America has gone up too high to where the government can't afford to give people much more than a couple thousand a month. I mean, they really can't afford to give people anything, frankly. But they saw that giving people these stimulus checks did almost nothing. because it wasn't enough money. For most people, they're like, cool, now I could pay half of my month's bills. Or cool, I could pay a couple of bills. That's a serious problem. And so where we are now. But I could rant about this forever, but my only message is two things. And this is a long video. And if you made it to the end, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Putting out new videos all the time. But the core message is take a step back and reflect. Reflect. And if you decide to keep your house, I wish you the best. And I'm not telling you to do anything, but reflect. Reflect on your retirement accounts. I can guarantee they're probably not safe. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing with mine. I'm pulling them all out. I don't trust the stock market at all. I'm pulling out everything right now. Everything. I'm in a process of pulling all my money back. Oh, Cody, you might miss a little bit of growth. No, I will miss a little bit of growth, and I will miss a lot of downfall. So I can't tell you what to do, but I'm pulling all my money back. I'm not investing in these markets. Crypto is going to be the antithesis of this, and crypto is going to go up as this crashes. Same thing with gold and silver. Same thing with, multifamily real estate is going to have value. The price of it may plummet, but the value of it will remain the same. But it's not going to remain the same. Anything that's in stocks and bonds and mutual funds, IRAs, 401ks, those are going to get crippled. Those are going to completely collapse. I've had several clients take loans against their 401k, pull it all out. Then when it collapses, they're going to be able to not only put back, but they're going to be able to buy things on pennies on a dollar. Same thing with IRAs. People are pulling, you got to pay a little tax penalty. It doesn't matter compared to where you're going to be long term. So, and then I would reflect on your house. It wouldn't hurt you to put it on the market. You're probably going to sell it quicker than you think because people are looking for houses right now, and you're going to be one of the lucky ones. And then when the thing crashes, go back and buy a couple of them. Go back and buy one for you and your family, and go back and buy one or two more because it really is going to crash that bad, just like it did last time. I mean, you look at the '08 crash, you look at the prices. I mean, there's places in this country where prices dropped over 70%. Those are people with mortgages. They all went bankrupt. I mean, foreclosures were, when the dust settled, the foreclosures were in the tens of millions. Tens of millions. When all the dust settled, between the contractors losing houses, the people losing out, and it took like a 2-year span, but it was massive. It was tens of millions of people lost their homes. I knew 3-4 dozen. Personally, I knew 3-4 dozen. I knew probably 30, 40, 50 people who lost their homes personally over a couple-year span there. Yeah, and you probably did too. They quietly lost their home. They quietly lost everything. They quietly lost their job. I mean, something like close to 90 million people lost their job over a 24-month span. I was one of them. I was in '08. I worked for a large company. I had a really good position, made really good money. I had a bunch of money in stock, company stock. The company went bankrupt. The stock fell apart. I lost my job. I went from making incredible money to making like $400 a week on unemployment. It was the only time in my life that I took unemployment. I went from owning my own company to doing really good to I had a kid. I had a bunch of things happen in my life. I took a really good job, made really good money. I went from here. I took a slight step down to take the job, but I thought it was the career thing to do. Company truck, company gas card, company phone, corporate expense account. I had everything. I had the whole works. I had company stock. I lost everything. When I say everything, I literally lost everything back then in 2008. I remember walking into a Jack in the Box, which at that point was a fine diner for me. No 5-star restaurants for Cody Hawk. It was Jack in the Box. And I looked at the TV, and I didn't know a lot about stocks back then, but every single stock ticker was red. And I'll never forget that moment in my life. I had maybe $2,000 to my name. $2,000, because all my money in the stock market, my 401k, I don't think I had any IRAs back then. Everything I had, and keep in mind, I was in my very early 20s. In 2008, I was in my very early 20s. Anyway, that's really all I got to say about this, guys. I can go on about this for a long time. Appreciate you checking out this video. Make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. Have an amazing day. Go on in everything you do, and I will see you in the next video.